The rockets work. Astronauts climb aboard, leave Earth, cross the space between worlds, land on the moon, and come home again. Then it happens again and again. What once looked impossible begins to look repeatable. In less than 4 years, Apollo places humans on the moon 6 separate times. Footprints appear in the dust, equipment is unloaded, crews work, collect samples, and depart. Each mission turns a historic breakthrough into something that seems increasingly proven. That should make the future easier to imagine. Success is supposed to create momentum. A solved problem is supposed to lead to the next attempt. Instead, something stranger happens. The landings continue, the achievement grows, confidence rises. Then, the movement stops. The missions end, while the accomplishment remains. The path to the moon still exists, yet nobody follows it. The more Apollo succeeds, the stranger the ending becomes. The more Apollo demonstrates that reaching the moon can be done, the harder it becomes to understand why the next journeys never arrive. And that raises an uncomfortable possibility. Maybe getting to the moon was never the obstacle that mattered most. Apollo does not shrink after its early successes. It grows. Astronauts stay longer. They travel farther across the surface. The work becomes more ambitious. What began as reaching the moon starts turning into exploring it. At first, the pattern seems straightforward. More capability should create more confidence. More confidence should create more missions. Instead, the opposite pressure begins to appear. While the crews are doing more, something else begins moving in the opposite direction. The strange part is the timing. This is not happening while the program struggles. It is happening while the program becomes increasingly effective. The operations improve. The exploration expands. The achievements accumulate. Yet, something important is slipping away. Not inside the missions, somewhere outside them. A successful mission lands, works, and returns. Then another mission does even more. But each accomplishment feels less protective than the one before it. The expected reward never arrives. Performance continues upward while momentum begins slipping away. That is where the pattern breaks. If the greatest challenge was simply reaching the moon, then every improvement should have made the future more secure. Instead, the program appears to become more vulnerable at the same moment it becomes more capable. The missions keep improving, the future does not. The better Apollo performs, the less the ending makes sense. Why would success stop protecting a program precisely when it is becoming better at what it was built to do? Maybe that was the answer. Look at what a lunar mission actually requires. A giant rocket has to leave Earth. A spacecraft has to cross hundreds of thousands of miles of empty space. Astronauts have to descend onto another world, work in an environment that offers no protection, then launch again and find their way home. Nothing about the process is routine. Every mission carries risk. Every launch demands enormous preparation. Every successful return feels less like a guarantee and more like a narrow victory over countless ways the mission could fail. Looking at the process, it becomes easier to imagine why the journeys stopped. Maybe the problem was never a lack of achievement. Maybe the problem was that achievement came at a cost that could never be sustained. The moon remains distant. The operations remain difficult. The danger never disappears. And if that is true, then the outcome almost feels inevitable. A program built on missions this complex would eventually reach its limit. The challenge would not be getting there once. The challenge would be doing it again and again, without the difficulty eventually winning. For a moment, everything seems to make sense. Humanity stopped going because continuing was simply too hard. Every piece seems to fit. The difficulty, the danger, the distance, the ending. The explanation holds together until one detail refuses to cooperate. If the moon program ended because the challenge was overwhelming, then the final years should show exhaustion. Missions should become less capable. Experience should fade. Performance should deteriorate. Instead, the opposite is happening. The people involved are not losing experience. They are gaining it. The missions are not becoming less effective. They are becoming more effective. Crews spend longer on the surface. Operations become more ambitious. The system accumulates knowledge with every flight. Procedures improve because they have been tested before. What once required learning now benefits from experience. The system is not breaking down. It is becoming more capable. Imagine watching a team perform its most capable work, then being told the project ended because they could no longer do the job. Something does not fit. The risk remains real. The difficulty remains real. The complexity remains real. But the capability remains real too. And capability is moving in the wrong direction for the accepted explanation. It is increasing. One problem remains. Apollo keeps getting better. Apollo did not end because humanity forgot how to reach the moon. It did not end because the necessary skills disappeared. The rockets, the procedures, the experience, and the operational knowledge all survive. What disappears is something else. Something powerful enough to stop the program while it is still improving. The ability remains, something else does not. And now the question changes. If capability was still there, what was it that actually ran out? The missing piece was never inside the missions. Apollo did not appear by accident. It was assembled by a level of urgency that is difficult to sustain. That pressure assembled the people, resources, commitment, and focus needed to do something extraordinary. Then the objective is achieved. The pressure that created the program no longer has a target. Astronauts land on the moon. They return home. The goal that once justified every launch is no longer waiting in the future. It is sitting in the past. The hardware does not suddenly stop working. The experience does not disappear. The capability does not vanish. What begins to fade is the force that brought all those pieces together in the first place. And once that happens, the outcome changes. The ability to continue survives. The reason to continue weakens. That is why Apollo leaves behind such an unusual lesson. Most people expect exploration to end when the technology fails. Apollo shows something different. A civilization can still possess the machines, the knowledge, and the operational skill to keep going. It can still know how to reach another world. And yet, the journeys can stop anyway. Not because the path disappeared, not because the capability was lost, because success removed the condition that made the effort feel necessary. The moon did not become farther away. The technology did not disappear. The path remained open. Humanity lost the need before it lost the ability.